We are 6 days into 2026, and I have already finished my first book of the year. I have it right here with me. The first book I finished this year is The Ministry of Time by Kaylee Bradley. I don't want to say too much on it because this is not my Pretty Little Book Nerds podcast that I do with my sister-in-law. But if you're interested in hearing her thoughts on it, my thoughts on it, and just an overall, take on the book, go listen to the Pretty Little Book Nerds podcast. I think our episode on this book actually comes out the day after this video will come out, but I finished it and I ate it up. I actually technically started it in 2025, but I devoured it in like 6 or 7 days. Or how many days did I read this in? No, it was definitely more than that. I think I finished it in 9 days. Yes. Yep. Love doing the math on camera. But it is time for me to pick another book. I know what book I'm going to be reading for the podcast that after this, but I got to wait for my co-host to finish, and then we'll record and then start that next book together. But it's time for me to pick my very first personal read of 2026, which is a huge deal. Picking your first independent read, especially if you read normally in groups, whether that's for podcasts, which is kind of niche, or book clubs, your first solo pick of any year really starts you off super strong. And I would say as a reader, I have two different sides. So I have the romance reader side, loves all things fuzzy and beautiful and love-filled. But then I also have my thriller, mystery, horror side, which loves all things dark, twisted, murdery. So I decided to pick 3 romance books that I've been wanting to read and 3 horror thriller books that I've been wanting to read. And we put them in a spinny wheel, and I'm going to be spinning them. I will also be adding another book to this list at some point in a couple of days over this next weekend. I am starting filming the first episode for my travel series that will start airing in June. But I'm also meeting up for the first time with my very first book club that I started, which is so cool. And so we're going to meet up and eat and pick our book. And then I'll have to, if I don't have it, I'll have to run on over to Barnes & Noble and buy it. But we're going to be right next to a Barnes & Noble, which is insane. I think that's just such great fate. Because we did not plan it that way, surprisingly. Excuse me. So yeah, let's spin that spinny wheel and see what my first personal read of 2026 is going to be. Ooh. Here we go. You can probably kind of see me behind it in the screen. But, so my books that I picked are Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, which is an adult romance, along with Tangled Up in You, which is actually part of a series. Those are both parts of series, but Tangled Up in You is part of a series done by Disney. I'm going to try and get this ad out of here as soon as I can. And I loved the rest of the books in that series. So I want to read that one. Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren. And then I also picked Girls Like Girls, which is a young adult romance written by Haley Kiyoko, who's also a musician that I absolutely love. On the thriller side, I picked Dark Sisters, which is kind of horror thriller, but also historical fiction. I love that idea. Picked Dead Husband's Cookbook, which is a book I've been wanting to read for a little bit now, and then Last One at the Wedding. So let's spin the wheel and see if it's romance or thriller for me for the first book of 2026. Looks like we're reading Haley Kiyoko. Oh, I'm excited. So I do plan on starting this beauty today, but I was also gifted in my email this morning an advanced reader copy of Betty Carrillo's new book that comes out this year. It's called My Italian Vampire. And it's only like 240 pages or something. So I think I'm gonna also read that and kind of fly through that. But yeah, I got an arc. I love when that happens. Okay, I did it. I finished Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko. It's my second read of the year now. I've gotten through 2 books this year. This book literally took me 2 days to finish. I read 211 pages of this book yesterday and read the last like 90 something pages today. It's YA, it's young adult, and I haven't read a young adult book in a really long time, and this just reminded me why I love YA books so much. Like, it just, you feel like you get to be a kid again. You, like, it takes you back to all of those memories that you have of being a teenager and all the worries and stresses, but also all the good stuff too of just like figuring your shit out and all this great stuff. And man, honestly, this was gonna be a 3-star book for me. And I think it was up until literally the last chapter. If you know Hayley Kiyoko, you know this is based off of her song Girls Like Girls, and she had a music video for it that came out like 10 years ago. I was obsessed with Hayley Kiyoko. I still am. She's amazing. And so I kept waiting for the like last scene in the music video to pop up in the book, and it was the last chapter. And honestly, I can see how some people might look at that and say like, oh, that's a really rushed ending. Like she should have dragged it out a little bit more, made it a little like a couple chapters instead of just 1 chapter. But I think the fast-paced nature of it, as well as it being the final chapter of the book, really holds true to the original song and the original music video, just like the 2 characters on the front cover. And yeah, honestly, it's a 4-star, but I could easily see myself reading this again, and like reading it slower and maybe even annotating it at some point. Yeah, so that last chapter made this book a 4-star. If you like Hayley Kiyoko, but you've never read her books, please read this. Like, I'm already trying to figure out how to get her most recent book that came out in 2025 called Where There's Room for Us, which is like a historical fiction young adult book, because this was just great. I had a blast. I read it so fast, and now I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to take a couple of days off from reading, so I'm not going to read like for the rest of the day tomorrow or Saturday. But then I meet up with my first book club meeting on Sunday, and so then I'll start my book club book on Sunday. So I'm so happy I finally read this. I've been wanting to read this for so long, so this is just great. I do also want to say one more thing about Girls Like Girls by Hayley Kiyoko, which is, yes, it's based off the music video for the song Girls Like Girls that she put out, but it made me listen to her album from like 2017, maybe. I can't remember what year it was, 2018, called Expectations. And honestly, that album also felt kind of like a soundtrack to this book, in a way. And I'm going to write about that in my Goodreads review. So if you want to read my like full thoughts, I'm trying to be better about it, about posting all of my reviews of what I read on my Goodreads, so you can go and find me on there and see what I have to say about what I've been reading. But yeah, I think this book matches her album Expectations insanely well, almost like a soundtrack for it. And that album was a huge album for me when I was in high school. I loved that album. And so, yeah, I don't know, it just made me feel all fuzzy and like lovey inside. It was great. I realized I did not talk about this in here, in this video, in my original clips while I was actually reading it. So I figured I would add this in. This is kind of, an end of January adage, but I did end up DNFing My Italian Vampire by Betty Carello. I got about 40% of the way through, and while I think somebody that is used to vampire books, vampire romances, and things like that, I think they would probably really love it. Sadly, because of how much I loved Betty Carello's book, 32 Days in May, this one really fell flat for me. It was a really difficult book for me to get through. And I tried really hard to love it because I love her writing normally. I just don't think that this is the right genre for me to be reading of hers. And just in general, I've tried to read other books in this kind of wheelhouse, and I usually end up DNFing them just because they're just not for me. So I did end up DNFing it, but I kind of hate that I did because I love Betty Carello, but this book was just not for me, and that's okay. So I'm reading my book club book, and I have so much going on right now that means that I can't like sit down and physically read. So I decided to go ahead and just purchase the audiobook. And I'm actually really enjoying the audiobook. I think I'm enjoying it more than the physical book. The narrator is really, really good. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I am 22% of the way in. I'm at chapter 7. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So I was really hoping, oh my god, my hair's insane. So I was really hoping to not have to do this on the very first reading challenge back in the new year, but life has thrown some curveballs this week. And while my goal was originally to finish the last 6 chapters that I have in this book before my reading video goes out, I just don't think that's a possibility for me right now. I think I need to focus on what's going on in my life. So the very beginning of February's video, I will discuss my rating on this before we get into my February reads. I promise. I'm sorry. So far, it's a good book. A little slow, but it is a cozy book. It's, marketed as a cozy book about witches and magic and family and all that. So I wasn't expecting necessarily something too high stakes. I am excited, though, to see what the people in my book club think about it, too. We meet in a little less than 2 weeks. A lot of less than 2 weeks, I guess. Like a week and a half-ish to talk about it and pick our February book. So I'm excited. But yeah, like I said, so much has been going on. Even just within the last 3 days, I really need to focus on my family right now. So I will tell you what I think of this book when I see you guys in February. And I love you all. Please stay safe, be happy, read books.